Reiko Yonan. I'm a third-generation mixed-race Japanese-American and Assyrian woman. I'm a City College student and CCSF collective member. My maternal grandparents are survivors of the Japanese internment camps during World War II. My mother was the first in her family to put herself through college and went on to spend over 40 years working as a special education teacher in the California public school system before she was forced into early retirement due to quote-unquote budget issues, similar to what we students and faculty are currently facing here at CCSF. College education had always felt completely out of reach for a low-income person like me. The daunting cost of higher education seemed like an impossible barrier. For years, I thought about returning to school but couldn't afford to pay books and tuition and still afford to pay my San Francisco rent. The free City College program in 2017 granted me a second chance at the education I'd always dreamed of. I felt so at home. Taking classes and building community with such an amazing and diverse group of students, I had finally found my place. Free access to classes and facilities for students like us, and by us, I mean BIPOC, LGBT, disabled, and low-income members of the community are integral in the accessibility of higher education. Which brings us to the issue of the proposed 600-plus layoffs and cuts to essential community programs like ethnic studies, LGBT and women and gender studies, ESL classes, and programs for students with disabilities. Make no mistake, the cuts happening here at CCSF are a race issue and they are a class issue. It's time for all of us to stand in solidarity with one another to take back our education. We cannot let the Board of Trustees at this school continue to make decisions that hurt the most marginalized members of our community. We cannot allow them to erase our histories and our stories. This is white supremacy at work. It's scary and exhausting to be a person of color in this country, and I want to encourage people not to buy into the model minority myth or any other divisive tools and tactics of white supremacy. Calls for extra policing in the face of anti-Asian violence are bullshit. They do nothing but disproportionately harm Black and brown communities. We need to instead uplift and amplify the voices of our BIPOC brothers and sisters and look out for one another to help keep us all safe. We keep us safe. It is important now more than ever for us to abolish and defund the police and fight for free education for all. That money belongs in our public education systems. Our free community college resolution passed through the SSCCC in March.
That we stand on the front lines, and it's beautiful to see each and every one of y'all faces, man. But I've been able to speak on these steps before, and there were fewer people and more people. We really need to see this whole city come out for some stuff like this. Because if you know my organization, Us for Us, you know, our main priority is young people. Yeah, I got ages 8 to 88 part of my organization. So each and every one of you are welcome. You can follow us, the number 4 US.Bay Area on Instagram. But we really support the young people, you know, and what they're trying to do, I feel is a direct attack on the youth of our city. It's a direct, I'm talking about, it makes me so sad. I'm gonna get to that, Comrade Malik. I know I got a few minutes. I can talk all day and all night, to be honest, especially about something like this. You know, my Comrade Malik from the National Black Newspaper told me to speak about the school-to-prison pipeline, which I'm very familiar with, unfortunately, but fortunately, because I went through that journey, so you, and my nephew back here don't have to go through that. See, I did 120 months in federal prison. And for some of y'all who didn't go to class, that's 10 years. 10 years straight, because, you know, I made some mistakes in my life. But when I came home from doing that 10 years, you know who was there for me? City College. City College was there for me. You understand what I'm saying? And the same thing with my young homie right here who just came home, who had some aspirations to take some classes, to do some things, to better his life, to better our lives. And where they want us to do that, they want us to go to San Mateo or Oakland or somewhere else. Much love to them, but this is our city. People come to San Francisco for things like that. for the access to education, and we need that. That is the absolute last thing that should be cut, especially when they got money for it. They got the money for it. They just don't want to give it to the people. They want to line their gritty pockets with it. They want to line their gritty pockets with it. With them high salaries they get in for doing what? For misleading and mistreating the people. Why are we paying these people to mistreat and mislead the people? We can't let that happen. So we have to continue, as cold as it is, as windy as it is, as tired as you are. Because I got a job too. I got a job, a couple businesses. I got a bunch of hard-headed nephews I got to deal with. But it was imperative that I came here today so you can hear my voice, so you can understand. So whoever's watching this, wherever you at, if you're making some decisions, you hearing it from a San Francisco native. I'm 42 years old. I'm not no little kid who don't know what I'm talking about or what's going on. I've been shot 5 times. I've been through some things in this city. You know what I'm saying? So I know what I'm talking about. I'm on the streets every day, all day, in every community. I'm blessed to be one of those individuals that can travel around and do those type of things. Everybody can't do that, but I can. So I'm on the streets with the people. That's why y'all might have to forgive us. After this, we might have to leave because we just came from feeding the less fortunate down here right in the Mission. Because anytime I go somewhere and speak or present my presence, I make sure that I do a community service either before or after. It's very important to do that. So don't just leave here, say something nice to somebody, because we know we got some people that's sleeping on the streets and it's cold right here close to us. We know Dolores Park, full of them. You know what I mean? And so it's very important that we stay focused on that. We let the people know who are making the decisions at CCSF that we know the money is available. Whoever the case, London Breed, the supervisors, whoever, however, and I know all them people. I'm not that smart, but I got a lot of heart. You know what I'm talking about? You can use that too. I know you like that. I'm not that smart, but I got a lot of heart. And my heart is for the people. And CCSF is for the people. Now, real quick, let me talk about this. Stop Asian hate and all of this. We already know. You check my track record. It's always been with me. Like I said before, I'm born and raised in San Francisco. All my life, I've had Asian friends. I don't even know what they talk. I'm looking for a Filipino girlfriend right now. You talking about? But that, you know, I've been blessed to stand with the Asians with attitudes. I've been blessed to speak at rallies at City Hall and everything. And I've condemned it even to all my little young homies. You know what I'm saying? All the little brothers who may be perpetrating this because they're being misled, like the brother said, from white supremacy. We are brothers and sisters in the same struggle. In the same struggle against oppression of all natures. And to my Caucasian brothers and sisters, the same with you, because I'm going to tell you, if you poor white, you might as well be black. Because rich people don't care about none of us. Don't care about none of us. Feel me? Until I get rich, then I'm going to care about you. You know what I'm talking about? You feel me? But it's a serious issue. We got to stop it. I do not like having my elders in fear of any color, of any type. Any young lady.
Born from Save Cantonese CCSF. So maybe not.
Sorry, I'm wearing high heels. I'm a little slower. Make some noise! Yeah! Thank you so much, everyone. I'm here on behalf of the Save Cantonese at City College Department. In the 1960s, Cantonese classes were established by Professor Gordon Liu, who served as a coordinator of the Chinese program, as well as the department chair at the Foreign Languages Department at CCSF. These classes have been around for more than 55 years, and in the fall, 100% of Cantonese classes will be canceled if we don't do something about it. When I heard that the Cantonese program was going to be defunded permanently, my heart dropped. As a doula and birth worker in the immigrant community in San Francisco, these Cantonese classes were not only a way for me to connect with my heritage, but also to connect with the families here that I work with. Being able to understand families at their most vulnerable time creates safe spaces for people to learn and grow.
Next, we have Angela Savage, and she will share her poem Revolutionary Imagination. Oh yeah, you better kick us.
Hey everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being present, and thank you for being ready to mobilize at this action today. It's for the people, fuck the police, free Mumia and all political prisoners forever and always. Standing for the students of CCSF. My name is Angela Savage. I'm a Korean and indigenous Taiwanese woman and writer born and raised in the city on unceded Ohlone territory. And today I'll actually be performing 2 poems for you all. So this first poem that I'll be reading for you all, it's about gentrification. I wrote it a couple of years ago. I go to school in LA, and just every time I came back, just noticing the changes. And this is in reaction to that. It's called When the Fog Mourns. Do you hear that? The land is fighting a war. Its aches are in the chipping paint, the peeling wood, the empty houses torn and built and torn again, gutted bodies, now just bones of white sheets and blue tape and metal bars, cold ghosts of the stories that once lived within the walls. Its people beat their fists against the air. We mourn because there are always others. Their hands cradle strange boxes, grips tightened when they pass sleeping men on the corner, shuffling their feet over the candlelight of last week's vigils. They're not from around these parts, and we can tell.
Right.
Let's go.
Right.
Listen. What will it take for our home to stay home? No mercy for what's been made prey, choked and gutted in the places I've memorized. The blare of a siren turned to white noise. 10 new restaurants where friends once lived. They call it fusion cuisine. How they marvel at our cities having so much culture, yet never with enough clarity to realize they are the ones leading it to extinction. We have seen what stares they give us in the only place our families have called home. They walk dogs with more clothes than my neighbors. Use not flags, but the lifeless stare of a honey bear. Use not mobs, but picnics. Use not mobs, but picnics at our parks to push us off land that was never theirs. They've said it loud and clear. Your home is more valuable when it's ours. None of this is new, but it brews the same anger when I see they finally paved the roads, trimmed the grass, made the city look pretty enough for them to live in it, just makeup on a corpse and not alive like it's supposed to be. And despite all our desperate, fervent attempts to contain the flesh of this city, they want ghosts, praying to the rainbows against the empty pews of a God that's not ours. They take and take and take, feast and feasting more until they've pushed us to the margins of every city we try running to.
Hey, let's go.
And I am sorry for their hunger, how they stick their fingers inside of our homes, how they cried fire that day the sky turned orange when they set this city ablaze. But for now, everything is still, like the moment before exhale, calm amidst the chaos as we cast spells on the cracked cement. Thank you.
We have is Shamar Olit from the We Are Philippine Studies and Anakbayan SF.
Introduction and good evening everyone. My name is Shamar Olit and I'm part of Anakbayan San Francisco, a youth and student mass organization that advocates for national democracy in the Philippines. And I'm also part of the We Are Philippine Studies campaign, which is advocating for and spreading awareness about the Philippine Studies Department at City College San Francisco. To start things off, I just want to say this. I am really frustrated that I have to speak out of frustration that these 600 plus layoffs were imposed on our faculty, which will affect CCSF students and City College itself as a whole. I am also frustrated by the cuts that were imposed on the departments that have fostered a community and diversity at CCSF. The Philippine Studies Department is one of those departments that contributes to the space CCSF provides to students like me. As a Filipino-American student at CCSF, the Philippine Studies Department has given me an opportunity to rediscover and reconnect with my Filipino roots, which has greatly impacted me, has given me more reason and purpose to serve my community. As a Filipino who was born in America, I do not know much about my Filipino background. Furthermore, taking these classes offered by the Philippine Studies Department has given me a better understanding, acknowledgement, and access of who I am as a Filipino, as a Filipino-American! I also took things that I learned from the Philippine Studies Department to not only know and understand our unique and diverse culture and history, but also drawing parallels to other communities that have been historically marginalized, attacked, oppressed, which includes the African American community. Even today, Asian American, Pacific Islanders, and Black communities have faced institutional violence. But George Floyd and Angelo Quinto died in the hands of police brutality because police use similar techniques to asphyxiate them. We understood that these injustices will not only impact one of us, it impacts all of us! It is through our struggles and solidarity with one another that we are able to fight for a more equitable society. The departments are cause matter to us. It speaks volumes! Which is why it's important now more than ever that we fight to save our departments from this cut, whereas African American studies, Asian American studies, women and gender studies, LGBTQ studies, or the Philippine Studies Department. These departments are crucial to fostering community, which also empowers students to excel in many things and provides a space for students to learn for their personal development, which is exactly what the community college is supposed to do. Our college, education for all. And one more thing. Look at Black and Brown solidarity!
This was not planned. Like, a dude was texting me and I'm like, I was getting one day at a time. I really like your phone.
The Philippines!
Stop the U.S. war machine!
All right, and then from CCSF to the Philippines.
Stop the U.S. war machine!
Hi everyone, I'm Wynn, she, hers, with Philippines United States Solidarity Organization at City College of San Francisco. We are really honored and great to be here amongst our comrades, our friends, our community. And today I'm going to talk about the war that's happening not only on our communities here at CCSF with the cuts to our wonderful and precious programs, but the war that's happening abroad, and knowing that both of those are interconnected, right? What we see here is not different from what we see abroad. Cuts to programs, but also hyper-surveillance and funding towards police and the military. And what we also see that's very similar is that the U.S. not only funds military and police abroad, they also support puppet regimes abroad, such as the one in the Philippines right now, but also all over the world. And here we also have puppets compromising our needs, compromising public resources that belong to us. And what we are demanding for, right? And so today, what we're saying is that some of our demands include fighting for what's ours, but also demanding that not a single dollar, not a single dime should be spent on money for wars abroad. It is outrageous to know that here also in the region of California, the community college California system also trains 80% of the police force. Can you believe that? And yet we see vital programs like Project Survive, like the programs like African American Studies, LGBTQ Studies, Women's Studies, Oceania Studies, Critical Middle East, y'all name it. The list goes on because people fought for them. Post 9/11, for example, when there was so much misinformation abroad, who was it that demanded? Who was it that fought for an actual department that exposed the lies of the U.S. that tried to legitimize wars abroad in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Iran? It was community that demanded for those classes. And it was community, the Black Student Union and the Third World Liberation Front that also demanded this years ago. And we're still fighting for that same fight today. And we're saying, hell no. Why are we fighting that fight? But we know that it's necessary, right? And so today we're demanding transparency. We're demanding political power. We're demanding our rights. We're demanding funding. And we're demanding also what's connected, our resources, a dignified living wage, public health, all of that, all of what CCSF provides, all of what communities in different community colleges provide, right? This is a public institution, not a private one, and we're gonna fight to have it remain that way. And so John Rizzo, Tom Temprano, Thea Selby, we are tired of CCSF being used as a playground for careerism, right? We don't want teeter-totters. We don't want those who swing from left to right, making empty promises. And we're not gonna stand for that. What we are, we're the people's movement. We're the mass movement. We're organizations. CCSF Collective, Black Student Union, African American Resource Center, Puso CCSF, Anagbayan SF, more and more organizations are being ignited because of the international movement that's being ignited as well. That's saying no more to no more violence, no more killings at home, abroad. So what we're also saying is that while we want funding and resources here, we're also demanding to shut down AFRICOM. We're demanding to shut down all the commands in the Asia Pacific. We're demanding all of that. We're demanding no to U.S. surveillance, no more funding towards the military. And for everyone here, please support also the Philippine Human Rights Act, which ceases military aid to the Philippines. And here, it is outrageous what Jomar had said. The only nation, the only Philippine Studies department in the nation is being also cut in jeopardy. And so, anyway, thanks everyone. Let's stay linked. Let's stay connected. Let's continue linking arm in arm, and let's continue to fight. Long live international solidarity.
Next, we have Makis from Bring Mumia Home.
Hi, how's everyone doing? Good. Solidarity to the AAPI community. Solidarity to CCSF, right? Fighting the attempt of the government to underfund and fail us like they love to. I mean, you hear it here, right? America pretends to care about Asians, right? And then they cut Cantonese program. They cut Philippine studies. How is that, how does that make sense, right? We need more resources, we need more education about cultures, right? And you try to cut them. I think, I want to quote Mumia Abu Jamal, that's who I'm here speaking on behalf of. It's not a direct quote, but Mumia says that themselves, right? That America's intentionally failing, they intentionally want us to be undereducated. They want us to be under-resourced, right? And then they want to fund, so basically they put us in a fucked up situation, they fail us, and then they continue to pay, they continue to feed the system that punishes us for how they fail us, right? And Mumia understood that very well. Just another reason why I really admire them. I want you to look around and see that you are among a lot of our elders. We have Equipto across the street, former Frisco 5 member. We have members of the Bayview Journal who are, sorry, say it again?
baby national black newspaper?
And they're here. These are our elders, right? And these are people who've endured lots of fucking police brutality, political imprisonment, etc. And they're here among us. And I think it's important that we try to take care of them, that we try to rescue them while they stay here, that we try to honor them. A political prisoner right now who's still imprisoned, 40 years now, and is serving a life sentence after having their sentence downgraded from the death penalty, is Mumia Abu Jamal. Can y'all say his name for me? Mumia Abu Jamal. Right. This is our elder. This is a person who's done so much good work, you know, who's been targeted by the state, you know, ever since they decided to resist, right? And here we are, dealing with the CCSF being underfunded, where they don't even teach you about Mumia Abu Jamal, right? But let me teach you about Mumia Abu Jamal. This is a hero. This is somebody who, under 40 years of police brutality in the belly of the beast, continues to write, continues to resist through their writing. I mean, come on. Resisting through their writing while they're there in captivity, right? I mean, I'm just constantly just in admiration of Mumia. But they've, you know, like most black people in this country, they've been fucked over, right? Mumia was sentenced in a sham fucking trial, right? There was widespread bias, misconduct, and mistreatment by the judge, the prosecutor. The judge was openly biased and racist, right? The judge literally said, a court stenographer heard the judge say that I want to help them fry this N-word. Right? And that's before, and right, and that's before they sentenced him to death, right? So he kept, you know, it's even more fucked up, right? 40 years because of a sham trial. The prosecutors used 11 out of 15 of their peremptory strikes to remove black people from the jury. So basically, they had only 2 black people on the jury. Isn't that fucked up? They literally weaponized racism to sentence a black man, right? So it was, you know, just, and then also false testimony too. That's why Mumia is in jail, in prison, sorry. So we are here, we're still alive, we have this people power, and we have to use it. We have to put pressure. These politicians that get in power and they promise us, you know, a progressive, you know, the progressive action, like overturning, like freeing Mumia, and they don't do shit, right? We need to put the pressure on them to do what they said they're gonna do. If you really want to make it up to the people who we all know were unjustly treated, the Black Panthers, the MOVE organization members, if you really want to make that up, Philadelphia, you'll free Mumia. You'll free all the political prisoners. Free them all. Right? Free them all. Right? If you really want to do, we don't need an apology about the fucking bomb. We don't need that. We don't need a day of commemoration. We need you to stop doing what you're actively doing. Right? America loves that. America loves that, right? Their ancestors did some fuck shit and they think they have nothing to do with that, and we can continue while people are still actively being punished and fucked up by that shit their ancestors did, right? Anyway, if you care about Mumia, if you want to help free Mumia, I need you to pull out your phones right now. Alright, pull them out. Alright, all phones, come out, come on, let's go. All y'all got phones, I know you do. Apple Watches, whatever. Alright, type in letmumiaout.com. Call the governor. Put pressure. Join your local Bring Mumia Back Home initiative. We have Jamal journals. Get educated. And do what you can, because this person is alive. They're alive. They're here with us now. They need to be free. Alright? Can y'all say this with me? Brick by brick. Brick by brick. Wall by wall. Wall by wall. Free Mumia. Free Mumia. Abu Jamal. Abu Jamal. Brick by brick. Brick by brick. Wall by wall. Free Mumia. Abu Jamal. Brick by brick. Wall when you get home, I'm begging you, do something. Just do it. Make it part of your daily activism. Practice what you preach. Every day, teach a friend. You know what I'm saying? Fight for your schools to teach about political prisoners, right? Fight and fight for the abolishment of this prison system, right? Right. Thank you.
This was not planned. Like, a dude was texting me and I'm like, I was getting one day at a time.
I really like your phone. Thank you.